So Arthur Smith got fired exactly 2 minutes into Black Monday, which was yesterday. Falcons wasted no time. I assume it only took them 2 minutes to call him and be like, "Hey, you done? Hang up." He never got a better record than 7-10 in his 3 years there. They had a ton of stars on offense and defense. They got Drake London, Bijan Robinson, Kyle Pitts, and it was just like, how are you not winning more games? At one point, they had Bijan blocking for Cordell Patterson. That made a lot of fans mad because that made no sense. Another guy who was fired is Ron Rivera, who we've talked about on the show before. Defensive-minded coach. I'm a fan of him. I don't think he ever really got a great shot in Washington because you had Dan Snyder and then first year under a new owner. Who knows what all happened? You don't have a franchise quarterback. Sam Howell is a mess. Is he good? Is he bad? We don't know. Now they're talking about maybe drafting another quarterback. Washington is just crazy. They've brought in an NBA executive who built the Golden State Warriors to help look for a new head coach here. I think offensive coordinator Eric Bieniemy is someone they should look at internally as well. But they are looking at basically every coordinator in the NFL as a potential head coach. Ian Rappaport's Twitter feed yesterday was basically just the Commanders have called this coordinator, this coordinator, this coordinator, this coordinator. So definitely very, very optimistic for the Commanders to find a head coach finally and possibly a franchise quarterback. So what are your guys' thoughts on those two firings? Did either of them surprise you for any reason?
Not really. I was going to say, not really. I mean, I figured Atlanta was going to let him go just because I'm sure that, once again, they also want some progress, and he's been stagnant at 7-10 seasons when divisions have been easily winnable over the last couple of years. Like, I mean, heck, if Tampa would have lost and Atlanta would have beaten New Orleans, they would have clinched that playoff berth. So, I mean, like, obviously they've come so close and they've fallen so short, and with the team that they have and whatnot, I mean, granted, they might, need to work on that quarterback room over there, but it's not one of those situations where it's like they're in, like, a bad team. I think they have the potential. Obviously, they're 7-10. They've had a better record than Washington this year, and they presumably had their franchise quarterback. So I think that there is definitely room to improve in Atlanta and getting a new coach, but I was expecting that. Washington, I don't think they gave him a fair shot, but I don't think they gave Rivera a fair shot. But the problem that I had was that obviously when you have, like, a losing season and, once again, there isn't really much happening and you're just, after this season, just not looking good at all, really, at times. Obviously, I think the new ownership probably just wanted to move on and get a fresh start regardless of what was going on and start over. Probably get, maybe draft a new quarterback, maybe sign one in the offseason. I mean, obviously, Russell Wilson's probably going to be released, and there's going to be some quarterbacks out there that they could possibly get. Who knows? I mean, there's no even guarantee that Mason Rudolph stays in Pittsburgh. So we don't, he could even be available if somebody wants to, try to pick him up and develop him like a Geno Smith for a couple of years just to get themselves in a decent spot. So, I mean, there's always, there's those possibilities. And I mean, Atlanta didn't shock me as much as Washington did, but in a way, Washington still kind of I kind of expected it still. It was just a matter of time. I didn't know if it was going to be this year or next year. It just happened to be this year. So,
Dan, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, the Smith thing, I think that had to happen. Smith was not doing a great job there. I've heard of people being bipolar. He had like 37 polls there. Nothing about him was consistent as a coach. And when I look at coaches and what they bring to the table, I look at two factors. One, well, obviously what they're doing in game. Are they making the right calls? If they are the main play caller, are they calling the right plays? But also what matters is what's going on off the field. Do his players enjoy playing under him? Also, is he bringing in good free agents? Do free agents see that team as a destination because of the coach? And I don't think Smith was doing well on either of those fronts. And to me, it's pretty clear they have to move on from him. For Rivera, I think that's a little bit of a different story because I think Rivera, I mean, everyone knows he's a very respected coach, right? He's done a lot in his career. And I was talking to one of my friends, Dom, one of our mutual friends, who's a big Washington fan, and he was telling me he would be very surprised to see Rivera go away. This is a few weeks ago. Because Rivera was brought in, it was big fanfare. That was supposed to be the decision that Washington made to move into their next generation of football. So that's a little bit surprising, but personally, I am not too surprised. I think it's more so surprising because of who he is, not so much when you look at his performance as a head coach for Washington.
Yeah, so Arthur Smith didn't shock me. And I've said this on the show multiple times. I couldn't pick the Falcons to win a lot of games because I had no idea what Arthur Smith was going to do. There were games where Drake London just wouldn't get targets, where Kyle Pitts wouldn't get targets. He's just blocking for whatever reason. Bijan, your 8th overall pick, is being used, or whatever, he was top 10. I think he was 8th overall. You're using him to block. Why? That makes no sense. The defense was okay, but Arthur Smith was just so inconsistent, like you said, Stan. And then everyone blamed Desmond Ridder. They went to Taylor Heinicke. Then they blamed Taylor Heinicke, so they went back to Desmond Ridder, and then so they could blame Desmond Ridder again. But there was nothing consistent with the Atlanta Falcons, and the fact, I think Arthur Smith is generally a very nice guy. This isn't me, like, just bashing Arthur Smith. But then for your final game against the Saints, you get blown out by a division rival. And I don't know, I assume you guys saw this because it was everywhere.
Yeah,
Dennis Allen, that he apologized, but it wasn't even on Dennis Allen, the Saints head coach. Jameis Winston wanted to get Jamal Williams a touchdown. So they lined up in victory formation and then went for it. And Jamal got his touchdown. Smith was livid. And some are saying Smith had a right to be. Others are saying just stop it. You can debate that however you want. But that ended up being like the end of his career. That's the note he went out on. Was complaining that another team ran up the score. Which doesn't look good in my opinion. But I don't think Smith is going to be someone who people look to for another head coaching gig for a while. Maybe he pulls a Dan Quinn, goes and is a coordinator somewhere else, and then goes back through the cycle. We'll see. Rivera. He said, I believe, the last 5 weeks of the season were the only time in his career at Washington that he felt like he was just a head coach because he was having to do so much other stuff with Dan Snyder and trying to figure out that, and like he's having to be a PR guy. He's trying to like defend his players. He's trying to defend ownership, like all this other stuff that Washington is just such a mess. I've talked to Washington fans and they've just said he's an awful coach. He shouldn't be in the NFL anymore. He's one of the better defensive coordinators in NFL history. I'd put him up there with Vic Fangio and Jim Schwartz. Maybe he's not head coach material anymore. That could be true, but I don't think he's a bad coach. I think there's a lack of talent in Washington. You traded away Chase Young and Montez Sweat. There was never a lot of talent in Washington because players don't want to go there. You had Terry McLaurin. You had a cycle of quarterbacks, Carson Wentz, Sam Howell, Taylor Heinicke, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Alex Smith. You never knew what you were going to get the next season. You couldn't build something in the offseason because you didn't know what was going to be there. You didn't know who your leader was going to be. And that's so hard to do that's hard to do in any job, but especially as a head coach. So I don't know if Ron Rivera will get another head coaching gig. Maybe he should. But I think teams will look to him as a defensive coordinator potentially if they need one. I know the Bengals might lose Lou Anarumo to a head coaching gig. I wouldn't be super opposed to Ron Rivera being the defensive coordinator there. The Giants are going to need a defensive coordinator as well, as we'll talk about here in a minute. But I would not be shocked if a team hires Ron Rivera.
Thanks for watching that video, guys. If you want to check out a most recent full episode of No Buts About It, that's going to be right over here. Yeah, right there. Check that out. And if you just want to see more short clips, we're going to have one right over here for you to watch. Check out No Buts About It on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, anywhere you listen to podcasts, so you can listen to us on the go. Once again, have a great day and go do something nice for someone.